A truck carrying 6 bodies arrives at a morgue in El Tambo in southwest Colombia, a town long at the center of the country's civil conflict. As family members grieve, soldiers and police look on. These killings were one of 3 incidents in just 24 hours that left at least 17 young people dead in remote regions of the country. It was the deadliest day since the signing of the 2016 peace deal with FARC rebels that aimed to end the worst of the violence.
In several regions of Colombia, there are groups which are fighting each other in disputes for control of sources of illegal rents, mainly related with narco trafficking, but also with illegal gold mining. Those criminal groups are targeting the youngsters in order to try to instill fear.
A week ago, Colombians had already been horrified by the killings of 8 college students near the border with Ecuador. Another 5 young people were shot dead just days before outside the city of Cali. Massacres of this nature had long been routine in Colombia's internal conflict, as paramilitaries, guerrillas, and the army fought for control of territory. But after a lull, following the signing of the peace deal, violence has returned, as the government has failed to assume control and implement peace reforms in those areas. The government has condemned the attacks, announcing a new special military unit, while downplaying the increase in violence.
Una de las primeras tareas
One of the first tasks of the special unit against culprits of collective homicides will be to advance in the investigations, to clarify the facts that have affected not only this region but the entire country.
But the United Nations mission in Colombia says they have already documented 33 massacres since the beginning of the year, and they are calling on the government to do more to implement the peace accord. The sudden spike in killings has outraged Colombians, reminding many of the worst days of the conflict, just as the country struggles to turn the page on its violent past. Alessandro Rampietti, Aljazeera, Bogota.
Well, let's bring in Jorge Restrepo in Bogota. He's the director of CERAC, a conflict analysis research centre. Good to have you with us. You said there in that report that these are groups fighting each other. Do you agree with the government that these are criminal organisations?
They do have a criminal nature and objectives, but still, they also destroy the threat, the political activities, and the political leadership in society. I mean, it is criminal violence, but it has a political impact and negative effect.
So how connected are they, if at all, with the old guerrilla organisations of FARC?
Some of these groups arose from splinter groups of the FARC, but I will say that the majority of these groups belong to criminal organizations and are also linked with the disputes with the ELN, the other guerrilla that didn't sign that peace agreement or even started negotiations with the previous or the current government.
Why is it that we're seeing young people particularly being targeted by this violence?
Basically because they are the ones that are opposed to the interests of criminal groups. The youngsters are the ones that refuse to join the ranks and files of these criminal organizations and to let the organizations to continue with their criminal activities. In a way, to be young in Colombia is to face that risk. Either you join them or you usually get killed in these very distant areas in which criminal activities, mostly related with narco trafficking, operate.
A lot of these areas in southern Colombia, they've been called to exist in a state of anarchy. What presence is there from the government there? What efforts are they making to try to stop these acts of violence?
I will say that there is large presence, there is enough presence, but it's very ineffective in terms of, for example, criminal justice. And most of the presence is either police authorities or military presence, but not necessarily social services and public goods like justice, education, sanitation, that leave this presence, this state presence mostly, in most cases, as a repressive presence and without sufficient trust from the communities in order to belong or to believe in a nationwide project.
OK, Jorge Restrepo, good to have you back. Thanks very much for joining us here on Al Jazeera.